Well, people keep on dropping in. Welcome, everybody. As you might have seen in the communication beforehand, StartDock this year is going to focus more on its impacts on the environment and the people as a company. And before we're going to dive into depth with the company Move to Impact, of which you can see Amber and Skadi, who are now waving at you. They will tell you more about the project that we're going to do with them. But before we're going to dive more into depth, I will tell you why we are doing this and the goals that we have in mind and why we thought about this. So as a company, as StartDock, we're live and kicking for 6 years now. And what we have been doing is we've been trying to make impact already in order to bring entrepreneurs together, trying to help each other in order to grow as a person, learn from each other, and grow as a company. And that, in a nutshell, is what StartDock has been doing for the last 6 years. But other than that, there's not so much that we have been focusing on. And if you, one of the cliche terms in that sense is corporate social responsibility. And if I would ask myself, did I take my responsibility as an entrepreneur? Did I take my responsibility as a company on this planet? I think the answer is no. And that is a thought that has been going on through my mind for the last couple of years, together with our team. We have been building a decent business, but next to that, I think we can do way more and way better together with all of you to also be a good company and take our responsibility for people and planet as well. Next to that, what's also interesting is that we see more and more companies also around us moving towards being an impactful company. So next to being profitable, you can also focus on being an impactful company. And I think it can easily go hand in hand. And that is what we are aiming for as well. And we really hope that, within our team of colleagues is growing year after year. And within our team of colleagues, the demand for being an impactful company is getting bigger and bigger. And I think that's a very nice direction towards where we're heading. Every year we have a yearly meeting with the entire team of StartDock colleagues. And what we determine is the goals for the next year. One of the goals that we have set now, of course, is the impact project. And the sub goals of this project is we want to become a CO2 neutral company. So be the first co-working space where you can rent your office, your work spot, or your meeting room CO2 neutral. It's quite a challenge. It's not going to be easy because we are monumental classical buildings, and it's not very easy to keep it CO2 neutral. But even though it's a challenge, we can definitely try to get there. But I don't have a clue how to get there. So I haven't studied for this. I have no clue how to get from A to B. So therefore, we definitely need help. And luckily, we found some help. So in order to reach the goals that we want to reach, I just mentioned one sub goal. The other sub goal, what we also think is important, is to give an insight to all the dockers on our location what the CO2 emission of your rental actually is. So for some companies, this is already relevant. So some companies and these are mostly the large companies. Welcome, Jonathan. These are mostly the large companies. They already have to report on their carbon accountability. This is by law regulated, and also smaller companies will have to do this in the next few years. So we want to be ahead of that. We want to make sure to make it in to have a dashboard where we're working towards. So we have an insight what the CO2 emissions per docker on our locations are, and how we can make sure that we make it lower and lower and lower up until a point where we are CO2 neutral as a company. So as I said, I have no clue how we're going to go from A to B, but luckily, therefore, we have companies like the company Move to Impact. So I want to give the word to Skadi and to Amber, who helped us in the trajectory where we're going to. So please, Skadi and Amber, take the word from me.
Thank you, Tom, for the introduction, and hey everyone, hey all Dockers. Thank you for having us. We are Move to Impact. This is my co-founder, Amber, and we are in contact with StartDock for quite some time. I was at the first bubble when StartDock was founded, so I'm quite familiar with the team, and I'm happy to call ourselves as well Dockers. We are sitting at the Prins Hendrikkade and at the new location, and want to help you with that, with becoming CO2 neutral and starting your way in the whole sustainability journey. So what are we as Move to Impact are doing is that we help companies to be activated and generate positive impact with practical tools. What does that mean? Companies come to us when they say, like, we don't have a clue how to actually incorporate like a CO2 measurement, for example, in our strategy of our company, and how actually to create a vision on sustainability. But let's dive a little bit, or make a little bit sure what sustainability means for us, and why we are actually helping you in a proper way, or StartDock in a proper way with that, is that sustainability means for us social, ecological, and financial impact. So we also will look with StartDock in that, and how we work with companies is always that we help them on create a target, a goal for the future, and really have a clear structure on how to go there. That it's like a clear program that they can like do step by step, all the little parts in the social and the ecological and in the financial department, to align them and take the most out of it and take everyone along. And as you already see, we work a little bit with visuals and all visual elements, so that everyone can actually be involved in this part. And that's definitely what we also want to achieve with StartDock and with all of you together, to incorporate you in this process as well, because it's your co-working space. It's your place where you are most of the week, and which you know the best of, and we support you in that way to become sustainable and create a CO2 neutral impact. But what are we doing with StartDock, and where this is going is what Tom already mentioned, is that we help you guys to become B Corp. That's a sustainability certification, which has like really clear steps on the social, ecological, and financial level, so that you know step by step where to go, and also create extra value for StartDock, and really show that you're not greenwashing, but really dive into the nitty-gritty in the company and show everyone that you really are out there. And it's a popular certification to show that elements, like you see also at Albert Heijn, there are a lot of B Corps presented together to make a proper choice. But also what Tom said, we help you guys to put together a CO2 dashboard that you Dockers will see how to get there. That is all nice and well, but why we come here together is to tell you a little bit more what actually B Corp means in all these parts, and also what our plan is moving forward, and to include you guys, because we are just supporting you basically in this process. But Amber will tell you a little bit more about the B Corp process, what we're going to do.
Yeah, but because I can imagine that a lot of you don't know what a B Corp is. So, well, B Corp stands for Benefit Corporation. In the US, it's an official thing, as in BV. But well, here it's just like the certification, and it's globally known, globally also certified. So it's originally from the US, but there are a lot of companies already, like in the Netherlands, B Corp. You can think about Dopper, Tony Chocoloni, Triodos Bank. Rituals just became B Corp 2 weeks ago. And this B Corp certification process is really a challenging process. And it's not about just telling like, hey, I'm thinking about it and it's fine. No, you really get assessed on the social and environmental impact, and not just on, hey, how are you doing according to environmental policy? No, they even ask about the really nitty-gritty, like Skydo already said. I'm not going to recall all the definitions, but for example, do you know what scope 1 or 2 is? I don't think so, but B Corp is going to ask you. And well, B Corp is a certification, but it's assessed by a third party, which is called B Lab, and they do like the assessments worldwide. So even when you're like a big company with like international branches, you can still become a B Corp. And what are B Corps known for? That they are transparent in everything they do. They're monitoring it, they're open about it, and they know where their negative impact is, but also proud to largen their positive impact. So they are all monitoring their impact. And another value of a B Corp is that they're in business for doing the right reason and doing good. So not just about making money and increasing the shareholder value, but really have like this impact on society, on the planet, or at least like reduce the negative impact on it.
And that, for example, for StartDock is definitely the part where you guys connect businesses together to create more impact. And what Tom just said, you also put now more the emphasis also on like creating a positive impact on ecological level. And that's why we are really curious on your impact in this trajectory as well.
Because like the whole B Corp assessment is on 5 areas. It's, well, we're going to help answer the question on workers. So like really the StartDock team, the community, which is not just the Docker community, but also the impact on society, as in local purchasing or environmental purchasing, how's the diversity, questions about that. Also, okay, what is the impact on the environment? Governance is more like how is the organization structured, as not like some sketchy shareholders that just put in money to, you know, for whatever reasons. And also customers. So how are you treating your customers? Do you also get feedback from them? Are you treating them with respect, which goes quite well here. But well, how can you become a B Corp? Like I said, it's a challenging certification process. It's an online questionnaire, which, well, depending on the kind of company you are, gives you around 200 questions, and you have to fill them all in. And it's not, sometimes the question is something you really have to look for, or even ask your energy supplier for some information. But by giving answers to these questions, you get points, and well, the greater the positive impact, the higher the amount of points. But you need at least 80 out of 200 points in order to become a B Corp certified organization. Well, the 200 is kind of not reachable, since the top B Corps in the world are around 160, 170 points. So they also acknowledge you cannot be perfect. Again, like those questions are all on those 5 impact areas. And when you answered all of them, you see you have like this minimum 80, but we also always advise to, well, have like 90 or 100 to at least have some slack. And then there's like this validation interview. You have to provide evidence on the answers you gave, and they're really going to ask you like, okay, are you really like doing it for the right reasons, or is it just like this whole greenwashing story? And if I ask like some deeper questions, then it's like, don't know, didn't think about it. Well, if you're really doing it for the right reasons, you'll know. Well, then you declare to be interdependent on the other B Corp, since the B Corp movement is all about we have to do it all together, and therefore also really about thinking about suppliers, as in, do you impact them on a positive way, and that you declare that you know that you cannot do it as an organization by yourself, that we need like whole society to think about these topics in order to improve the world we're living in. And then you're a B Corp, but it's not like, okay, you're a B Corp forever. You need to review every 3 years. So sometimes they also, well, not sometimes, they change the questions every 3 years. Not all of them, but they really want B Corps to be on top of their game and will challenge them, and also to think about new areas of improvement. So then you have to go through the whole process again, and hopefully you stay B Corp. Are there any questions until now?
Because this is a lot of like to take in and everything, and a lot of information. But we wanted to give it to you that you know, like, hey, what is StartDock going through at the moment, and what kind of program are we pushing the internal team a little bit as well, and that you know that it's not just like said by StartDock, oh yes, we want to become CO2 neutral, but that it's actually a whole process they are going through, and they're really putting in the work.
Well, we don't see any questions in the chat. If somebody wants to ask, maybe unmute yourself.
But no, but further we show you a little bit. That is the way what we at the moment going through with the internal team. Some of you have seen that already. Some of you don't. We at the moment do the sustainability assessment, which are some interviews with HR, finance, and sustainability dedicated people on this topic. To have a general overview for that for you guys, and to recommend also parts of that, since we are consulting a lot of other companies in this part. Then we go and do an internal team kickoff when they answer all the questions basically, and then we give them a lot of answers to their questions, and provide StartDock with an action list, with a checklist afterwards, that they know, like, hey, on the short term, we know that we will reach extra 30 points. On the midterm, we will reach extra 60 points. And on the long term, it's a lot more. But it's not about reaching the points, but really breaking all the steps to become, on a social, ecological, and financial level, much more grown as a company and much more involved. And you can think about, for example, on a social level, you will be asked also, like, do you have a breastfeeding policy that you can provide all pregnant women in the company who are coming back at a secure and nice place? But also, are you paying your employees like on a good rate, on a minimum wage? All these kinds of questions, they're quite deep involved in the company. But enough about B Corp. We will show you an example of the CO2 measurement board, the dashboard, which you guys which we are creating together with you. But before that, I see a question in the.
Yeah. Dan asked, will we all be registered as B Corp if StartDock reaches B Corp, or just StartDock? No, it's just StartDock, since it's on an organizational level. However, if you want to become a B Corp, it becomes easier for all Dockers, since you need, well, a lot of points are on facility and the office you're working at. So if StartDock, which they're going to be, really has their programs on it and show that they reduce the negative impact, you immediately can get the full points on there, since, well, your working environment takes care of that. So that's definitely a benefit.
Yeah, because they can just provide you with all the data, so you can just send them an email like, hey, I have this amount of questions, and StartDock will have them ready already, because they know what kind of questions will come. So they will directly send you okay, on this level we are doing this and this. Is this 50%? It's one point. All of that different levels of sizes and answers and questions will be done. And so it definitely will quicken your process also to become a B Corp if you're interested. I hope that answers your question. Here an example of the CO2 dashboard, which we will create together with StartDock for all of you. that's where you can see on your contribution and footprint, basically, that you directly see, hey, with your contract, you have, for example, like 6 flex places here, flex desk at StartDock. So how much CO2 are you using? What is the waste you are giving? For example, all these elements will be able to be shown in such an overview, so that you as a Docker, but also that here at the Prince Hendrikkade it's possible to show this overview, and probably afterwards also in the other locations, but it will be started here at the Prince Hendrikkade to have a starting point of measurement, basically. So here you have an overview for that. But we also want to show you on the website of StartDock is since today the new impact page ready, where you can see all the information about what our collaboration with StartDock is doing, what kind of actions are there, and when can you be involved and what can you expect, basically. So this is the impact page, and here are also the goals of StartDock again mentioned, that they will offer a CO2 footprint overview for all the Dockers, that StartDock wants to reduce their CO2 footprint and offer CO2 neutral offices and meeting rooms. I will dive in a little bit into what CO2 neutral means for StartDock, because I talked with Tom about it as well and other members of StartDock. So to make sure that this is also not a greenwashing part, but that it's like a really meant part. Then StartDock will offer activities that compensate the CO2 footprint for the Dockers, so that there will be also measured, like, hey, how much positive impact is StartDock creating out there and with all the Dockers together. And then become a certified B Corp and make it therefore easier for other Dockers to become B Corp as well. Like Amber said, it's a lot of questions in the B Corp certification, and then the questions are about the workplace where you're at and when you can give all the answers, and you have a conscious workplace basically for that. That's important and give you a lot of points. So here a little bit more about the approach of StartDock and also about the collaboration with us. Like that's what you're seeing here in the beginning, but also from what is meant and when is it asked for all the Dockers to participate and how does it work. It's that's definitely the part that you guys have to and want to be involved basically from May onwards, because then we did the first part of going through the questions of the B Corp certification with StartDock. So then they know also like which topics are interesting for all of you and where can you contribute, so that you're not busy with all the nitty-gritty numbers, which costs a lot of time. It is especially for internal for StartDock to be going through, but really to have an input on specific topics, and also what is important for you, because there are topics where it's a little bit difficult to make a decision. For example, you can imagine that the heating in the StartDock co-working spaces is definitely a topic as well, because it's a big topic for the CO2 emissions. It's 1/3 of the world CO2 emissions is from actually heating buildings. So therefore, it's interesting what you think and what also the Dockers want, like how long should be like heatings running when they're like maybe just like 3 people sitting at 8 o'clock in the evening, but all heaters are still on, for example. So that you make the decisions and that we are not making anything for you, and that the internal staff is not completely making all the actions and decisions for you, but that you can participate as well. Then other topic is that there will be a focus group internally from StartDock. It will be searched for different stakeholders outside externally of StartDock that are in the sustainability field in Amsterdam, which can advise them, not only us, but also when we are gone, because it's your process. It's StartDock's process of creating more positive impact, and therefore we should be not needed at one point anymore. That's the goal for you guys. But that you then definitely have people that guide you a little bit through it and give you interesting insights and information and challenge you a little bit on this way. But now come to the CO2 part. I know it's a lot of information, but bear with me a little bit longer. So CO2 measurement and reduction and compensation. So the idea is, it's logical, since Tom also said in the beginning, StartDock doesn't know where to start and what the CO2 emissions are at the moment. So it's important to start measuring them. So in this B Corp process, there will be a lot of questions also like, hey, how are you heating your building? How is the waste going? What are you doing with the waste? How is the lighting in the building? All of that will be coming out of there. So there will be taking some measurements as well, so that it's measured, and we know also with the CO2 dashboard what is the baseline measurement of StartDock, so that there can be made some plans in the future to reduce the CO2 part. But till it's not reduced basically, and it's still working on towards reducing the CO2 levels, they will be compensated, and each time it will be adjusted to where basically the reduction levels are to compensate it. So therefore, when setting goals, that it's not just like, hey, we are compensating and we are off, but really there are goals in place, and the Dockers will work on it internally, and StartDock people will work on it to reduce the CO2 footprint. So it's the only thing to do to move basically towards the future and reduce it as much as possible, as all companies should do basically. And down here, you see the whole journey basically, and all the steps that, for example, now in January, we are busy with doing the interviews and talking to the internal meeting, and having now internal staff, and having now the kickoff. In March, we will give for all the Dockers who want information session on if they want to become B Corp, and how we can help them together with StartDock to make them easier B Corp. Obviously with a big reduction for you on the price, but also then in February and March really going through the B Corp process, and in April showing you the first draft of the CO2 dashboard. So that after having this dashboard and going through this B Corp process, that all the topics and basically little gaps in the planning and where StartDock wants to be is clear, and then then all the Dockers can be contributing and can join basically in on giving all their opinions and ideas how and what to make with specific sustainability topics, so that at end of May there is a complete footprint dashboard, and in June, after the meetings of the first groups of the Dockers, there will be CO2. There will be activities to reduce the CO2 footprint, and be made more goals basically towards the future on how to reduce them and what to conclude on all the activities, and wanting to create a bigger vision or next steps basically for that. But that's basically what you can expect here from this this process and within the next steps. And obviously that can not be done just from a small group of people. There are a lot of people involved, and Laura Linschrote and Lies, the new intern, from StartDock, and also Tom. They are like definitely the sustainability heads in all of this. But we definitely also want to give the word to Laura, because like she will be the contact person from the website, where we also send out each month like inputs for the newsletter, so that you all be like up to date on like what is actually going on, and is it actually going well, or where is StartDock at the moment. But for now, I want to give the word for Laura, because she is definitely a big part of the impact team as well.
Well, thanks, Kari. As of May, I will be more into this project phase. We're in more the activation phase. First, of course, we need to know how we are standing and all the dashboard numbers. And so for the upcoming months, I will be joining Amber and Skadi to see where we at with all our goals, and make an activation plan and maybe activation workshop. So if you want to join, or you can contact me via impact@startdock.com and .nl, excuse me, and and we will see. We would love to include lots of Dockers to see if you have great ideas about stuff, or you can integrate your knowledge about certain topics. So we would love to make this a big co-working thing. So let's see how big we can make this.
Thank you, Laura. Indeed, that's the idea, to make it to really prepare everything, basically with the internal StartDock team, with us together, so that we basically put together a structure that you guys can just get busy with the topics you enjoy the most and you want to make decisions all together on. So we're really looking forward to support you basically in this process, and are really open to answer any questions. You can just like approach us at the Prince Hendrikkade. We're like having lunch here and like running around in the building. So just come by. You can also find us on the 5th floor. So definitely looking forward to meeting all of you. But I'm really curious. Like, we bombarded you with like crazy a lot of information, and you can definitely find this information also on the StartDock page. Is about us, and then there is the impact part. It will be available in English, I think in the next either on Monday, or I don't know what the internal process is for the English part, but I think it's available really soon. But it's available now to have an overview of that. But are there any additional questions? Because we bombarded you with information, like I said. What are extra questions or ideas? I think.
Yeah, maybe not per se a question or an offer to help. For the people that don't know me, I'm Jonathan from Healthy Workers, and we actually help building owners with making their buildings more healthy and sustainable. And I think definitely with StartDock, for example, something we could help with is measuring the spaces for the indoor climate, but also measuring your water usage, your electricity usage, your gas or district heating usage. And this is something we can normally set up in just a couple of weeks per building. And then you have a real-time view of all your usage and also the CO2 equivalent emissions that come with it. So if that helps, then definitely let me know, and we can look at how we can help you guys with calculating this for your buildings.
Perfect, Jonathan. That's definitely a part which is really important also for the CO2 dashboard. And I see Tom already like nodding. That's definitely important to take along in this process. Awesome.
Yeah, maybe good to mention it. Like what we normally do is we help you measure it, so getting the information, but also monitor it, and also help you where you can actually improve it. So most of the time, if we help them with the full process, we also make connection with your building management system to actually see where you can make the improvements to reach your goals. So it's not just monitoring, but that let's just talk further whenever you are ready for it.
Yeah, but that's definitely a good part also for the activation teams basically when there's an action list and everything and the measurements are good. Yeah, awesome, Jonathan. Yeah, looking forward to talk further about these topics.
Any other questions?
Dan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. First, I think it's an awesome initiative. So it's very, very cool. And we're a new Docker. I'm in the States. I'm coming over next week to Amsterdam. So I'll be joining you guys soon.
Welcome.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you. And my dog, Tito, will be in the office as well. So you're going to meet Tito. We're a privately held company, and I assume some of the questions are going to be specific to workers and employment. How do you handle those situations where there's some things, obviously, we're not going to be comfortable sharing or divulging on an individual Docker basis? Obviously, we don't want to be a detriment to you guys becoming a B Corp, but there's also some things that we probably can't share publicly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Dan, all those like worker questions related, they're internally for StartDock. So you don't have to answer these questions like from your company perspective. It's more really like whether StartDock, for example, is a balanced company between female and male. I know already that they are, so therefore like these levels, for example, that will be questions for them. So StartDock as a company will put under like a microscopic lens basically of like what are they doing and how are they doing. It's more the usage basically of the buildings, are they done well, and it's more to include the Dockers on deciding for StartDock basically what you guys want to decide together on the handling of all of that, because since you are the biggest asset and also like the goal of StartDock to connect all of us together, it's not you, it's all of us, because we're the Dockers as well, but it's about us basically making a decision together since we are a community.
Since like in the impact area, all the Dockers can be seen as the questions related to the customers impact area. So that's more about having customer feedback, etc.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
And then basically you have more insight basically of StartDock to bring back to your company basically, but you don't have to share any data basically of your company.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other? Work at Hero.
Yeah, there's a question from Kelly in the chat. I work at Hero and we recently started a B Corp process as well. We have an office at Westplein Rotterdam, and here Amsterdam will soon move to Prins Hendrikkade. Looking forward to walk this path together. Awesome. Perfect. So you guys will definitely benefit from all the data as well in this part then.
Yeah, super. Nothing more to add.
To add a little on this notification from Kelly, I think for us it's important to create more impact from our company as a whole. So the question from Dan, I think, is a good question. Like, what do we expect from you guys? We cannot expect and we cannot steer you in the direction of also taking your responsibility as a company. But this is definitely something that we want to inspire you to. So that's also why we want to add our communities to this process, because I think we can make a lot of impact with all the Dockers together. We're almost 1,000 entrepreneurial geniuses in 4 different buildings. And myself, I cannot make an impact to change the world and to avoid a climate disaster. But I think if we can do it all together, and if you get inspired by this process, and it's not so difficult as it all seems. I think it's just a change of mindset, and just it's feeling very good to do good next to also building your company, and I think that those two can easily go hand in hand. So it's very nice to see all of you in this chat. I see some of our investors in the chat. I see a lot of colleagues in the chat. I see a lot of our customers in the chat, which is heartwarming. It's very good that you guys are here all together. Thanks for that. Please join us on the trip, and also contact Laura if you really want to participate in this process with us. And if you wanna go on the B Corp path, also contact the team of Move to Impact, because I think we have to do it all together. And the more we change our direction towards impact all together, I think the more impact we can make with each other. So yeah, I just wanted to add that from the stomach. Is there any other further questions from the crowd? No further questions. I think we're on 3/4 of an hour, which was a nice goal to keep it within. So once again, everybody, thank you all for joining this call. It's the kickoff of a project which is running for the end of StartDock, the end of times. We really need the help from Move to Impact for the first couple of steps, but in the end, we have to walk by ourselves. Thank you for all being here today. If you have any questions, feel free to shout them towards impact@startdock.nl. And we hope to see you all soon in either of our buildings on the opening party of the Prins Hendrikkade. It's still something that we have to do because Corona. We couldn't have done it so far, but we're looking forward to seeing you all soon. And thanks for attending.
Thank you. Bye bye.